My name is Adam Raja and I'm a photographer, a climber and an activist, and I'm also the market manager for Protect Our Winters UK. So my journey to the outdoors, I hadn't actually stepped foot in the outdoors or the mountains until I was early to mid-20s. I didn't even know there was mountains in Scotland really until I was in my mid-20s. So I grew up in Glasgow, somewhat working class family, single parent. My father was an immigrant from Pakistan. There was a lot of knife crime, a lot of gang culture. And to this day, you've still got it, a lot of alcoholism. Unfortunately, as a teenager, these were all things I dabbled in and was exposed to. And the people I looked up to were gangsters, they were drug dealers, and they were criminals. You know, I'd always struggled with identity. And I think a big part of that was growing up mixed race, and I grew up in a predominantly white culture. When I was first exposed to the local gangs, it was sort of postcode gangs. It was alluring because it was like a community that I'd never had, and ultimately that led me to youth offenders. Fortunately for me, after youth offenders, I had the opportunity to go to university, which removed me from a lot of those negative influences. It wasn't until I was at university, I had a bit of disposable income and I had a car. One of the first things that I did when I had a car, and one of the first trips that I went on, was to the Highlands to see some of the mountains that I'd seen. And I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. My jaw was in my lap. And then I finally approached the Buckle, which is probably the most well-known mountain in Scotland. It was awe-inspiring. It literally captured my imagination. I pulled over, pulled into a lay-by, and I just sat there. The first thing I thought was, I need to climb that, without any sort of understanding of how you would do that. I didn't know the difference between hill walking, mountaineering, climbing. And so when I returned to Glencoe with a pair of the cheapest walking boots I could find, I wanted to climb the Buckle. So I found like a walking route on Walk Highlands and had no navigation skills, so also it's the middle of winter. Set off with my phone, a pair of boots, my jogging trousers, a really cheap insulated jacket, and I thought I was heading up on a hiker's trail up the Buckle. But as I was progressing on the route, I could look ahead and I could see like a group of climbers. They had helmets on, they had ice axes. I remember looking at them like, these guys are a bit overdressed. And so I just kept pushing on, slowly behind them, and I soon realised I wasn't on a path anymore. I was kind of scrambling, I was climbing, and I was suddenly surrounded by snow and ice. No crampons, no ice axe, because I didn't even know what they were at the time. I soon got to the point where I could see that the climbers ahead were now roped up, ice axes out, and they're proper climbing. And I was at the point of no return. Like, I'd came so far that when I looked behind me, there was no path, there was no trail. I was halfway up a mountain with no clue. But I soon realised where I was freezing my ass off, and there's snow swirling around me, the wind was blowing a hoolie, and I realised I'd made a mistake. And I'm trying to navigate back off the mountain, but I can't see because it's snowing, it's all white out. Can't even see the car park below, so I'm just heading downhill at this point. I come to a small waterfall and I'm standing just above it. Take one more step and I slid down it, probably 15 metres. Ankles were hitting off rocks on the way down. Ego took a serious bash. And maybe an hour or so later, the blizzard kind of cleared up a little bit and I managed to get back to the car. Shaking my head, just so annoyed at myself. But I used that as a real learning experience. Literally before I left the car park, I got out my phone and started looking into winter walking, mountaineering. What do you need? Ice axe, crampons, added them to my basket. I found Mountaineering Scotland, booked a course with them before I'd even left Glencoe. So that route I actually ended up on that day was Curved Ridge, which is a grade 3 scramble. After that initial failure or misadventure, I put Curved Ridge as a target. And the next year I scrambled it. Now there's that area called Rannoch Wall, and it's on the side of the Buckle, but you have to actually climb Curved Ridge to get to the base of those routes. So now Curved Ridge has become my approach route, and that's really rewarding to see. There's never a time actually when I'm not in the mountains, especially if it's a new route, where there's that internal dialogue that's saying, why are you here? What are you doing here? You shouldn't be here. And you've just got to remind yourself that you've put in the work to get there. I think the biggest lesson I've learned is that you're not defined by your past. I don't think what I've done is that special. 10 years ago, I was to see myself, or you told me that I would do the things that I'm doing today, I would have laughed at you. I wouldn't have thought it was possible. And so I think the amazing thing is that no matter what you've come from, once you have that, I guess, the inspiration or the exposure to something, you can achieve it if you're willing to put in the work, and you can turn things around. If I could do it, the good news is that anyone can, because I would never have thought I would have been able to turn things around, and at one point I genuinely didn't. It's been gradual. You know, I started getting mileage in hill walking, did my courses, built up my skills, built up my knowledge and my confidence, but one of the most important aspects has been a community, because you can't really climb mountains safely alone. You should really have people there, and more so than that, it's the skills and knowledge that you can pick up from other people. It's like people ask, did the outdoors save your life? I've thought about it because it's something I've probably wrote in Instagram captions. And the outdoors didn't save my life, you know, it was my own decisions. I turned my life around. University gave me opportunities I didn't have, but what the outdoors has done is gave me a much better quality of life. What I've found in the outdoors and climbing and mountaineering is community. I've got that identity and purpose was something I was lacking before I found the outdoors, and that inherent need and willingness or want and urge to protect the outdoors, and that's sort of what's influenced my climate action work with Protect Our Winters. I think for an obstacle to become like a challenge that you can overcome, you've got to be able to see beyond that obstacle, because until you can see beyond it, why would you ever consider pushing past that? So if you've never seen someone with your ethnicity, someone from your social background doing, like whether, like for me, like mountaineering, I never saw someone from my background sitting looking into a camera talking about this. I think you just have to be open to new experiences, and you've just got to seize those opportunities when they present themselves, because they don't always come. And I think that's one of the key points, is getting people exposed to the outdoors at a young age, because you plant that seed and it just shows them another side of life. It's not going to be for everyone, but once you've got the exposure, at least if it interests you, you can pursue it. It's so easy to define yourself by your current situation and circumstance and beat yourself up about mistakes that you've made. If you want a better life, you can have that. You do need to put the work in, but if you put one foot in front of the other, I think you might be surprised as to where that can take you.